From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. A production of iHeartRadio.
Hello, welcome back to the show. My name is Matt.
My name is Noel.
They call me Ben. We're joined as always with our super producer, Alexis, codename Doc Holiday Jackson. Most importantly, you are here, and that makes this the stuff they don't want you to know. It's time for our weekly listener mail segment. Thanks to everybody who reaches out continually, whether to the show pages or personally, or whether through calling us, or whether through email, or, playing with a mirror at midnight in a dark room. We read every missive we get, and this is one of our favorite parts of the week. We're going to hear from Tall Pockets. We're going to hear from Jasper, two returning conspiracy realists. And then we're also going to give a shout out to some residents of our Facebook page. Here's where it gets crazy. Justin and Joe. We're getting into some weird stuff. Hatchet drones, telekinesis, no fooling, true story. Maybe a little bit about industrial cloning. But we thought, where better to start than our all the magnificent responses that we've had to our recent segment on the breakthrough rectal cancer cure, which it does appear to be. Yeah, I think the best way to say it is thank you to everyone who wrote in. In some cases, we have to protect your anonymity, which we hold sacrosanct. But for everyone who has given us consent to share their stories, be on the lookout for a future listener mail segment that will focus entirely on the big C. Now, Matt, I think you and I both were very taken with the wonderfully written correspondence from our colleague Jasper.
That's right. Jasper wrote to us after we were speaking, I guess, about immunology. Is that how you say it, Jasper? That's what it is, I think. You wrote to us with an awesome visualization of some of the things we were talking about. We were talking about antibodies. We were specifically talking about receptors and what an antibody does, how it functions, and then how the immune system within each of our bodies reacts when certain organisms, let's say, are marked by antibodies. So let's get into this. I'm just going to begin on your second paragraph, just so you're aware, Jasper. You said, so imagine your body is a walled off city. You have millions of little buildings. These are cells within your walls, which is your skin, and your immune system patrols the city, and it destroys anything that A, shouldn't be there, or B, has begun breaking down or aged out of usefulness. Makes sense, right? This is me talking. We've got our city, that is our body, and your immune system is the patrol. So you have an intelligence department, which are B cells, and an operations department, which are T cells. There are some additional special forces mixed in, but B cells and T cells are the most common types in the mix. B intelligence, T operations. T cells outnumber B cells by quite a few because they act as the ground troops, right? These are the officers on the ground. The BIA, as Jasper has put it, or the B cell intelligence agency, is constantly circulating surveillance drones, the things that we call antibodies. It's really interesting to me to think about antibodies as surveillance drones, right? I think that's amazing. So these drones have the ability to perfectly distinguish intruders from residents of your walled-in city. When they find an intruder, they latch onto it, and depending on where they grab the intruder, the drones can either slow it down, incapacitate or neutralize it, or simply stick on it without impacting the intruder's function whatsoever. Here's where the T cells come in, you guys, and this is part of the explanation that really made sense to me. The drones or antibodies act as flags for the immune system. Even if they don't neutralize the threat, as they can sometimes, an antibody helps T cells the troops on the ground, find the intruder's location. Anything marked with an antibody is destroyed with prejudice, as Jasper says. If it's a virus, the virus is, quote, eaten and chopped up to send around as a way to train the rest of the T cells to recognize that particular bad thing that was found in the body. It also sends it to the B cells, which is, again, the intelligence system, right? So the troops on the ground understand it, and the intelligence system that is sending out signals understands it. If it's a bacteria, it's eaten and chopped up or punctured and, quote, popped or attacked with enzymes and hydrogen peroxide. It's weird to think there's hydrogen peroxide just inside of us, and it's part of our immune system. Ugh. So first of all, guys, just with that explanation, it's the first time I was ever able to really visualize what is going on inside my body. And to be honest, it freaks me out. It seems way more organized and intelligent than I want to give my body credit for, I guess.
Wow, really? We've talked about this idea, though, when you just look at the ratio of bacterial cells to human cells. Your body is much more like a city. We've talked about this in the past. It applies very, very well.
So if your body is a city, are you like the governor of your city, or are you you're literally like the infrastructure?
You're the
like
earth,
the spirit,
man.
You're the spirit of the city. You're your own little Gaia. Yeah. It's like you're the spirit of St. Louis, kind of. But that's, and I don't want to divert us by getting into too much metaphysical, philosophical stuff. But, but you can always tell someone knows what they're talking about and is a good communicator when they communicate via analogy. It's one of the best ways to accurately explain concepts that could otherwise be outside someone's realm of expertise. So I just want to say massive thanks to Jasper. Also, I think your name's very cool. You don't run into a lot of Jaspers these days.
That's right.
In my experience, I don't know.
I don't.
Okay.
Except for you, Jasper. So you continue here, and because we're talking about cancer, which is a really interesting part of the body when it arises, because it's generally cancers. There's so many different types and forms of cancer and specifications. Right. Just so many. It's interesting, though, because it is a part of your body that is malforming. It's changing, it's mutating, but it is still your body. So how does your immune system react to it? Well, let's get into that, because you do, Jasper. You say, so if everything is working fine, the B-cell intelligence agency won't be producing any drones or antibodies against any piece of the city that's supposed to be there. If it does, that's the base of an autoimmune disorder. A tumor cell often makes damaged mutated proteins that don't quite match what the BIA recognizes as self, so most tumor cells are killed almost as soon as they form. When a tumor cell's mutated protein slips past the BIA's radar, though, a tumor establishes itself. That's the bad stuff. That's the malignant thing that's going to continue growing. That is no bueno. Jasper, you continue. Most cancer treatments act either like bombs that can destroy any part of the city, or as a shutdown that prevents any part of the city from easily repairing itself. Healthy cells can sort of keep functioning, but they're still prevented from replicating and repairing like normal. Cancer cells that respond to such chemotherapy can't continue to function with that kind of treatment. And here, Jasper, is where you get into that specific strange news story where we were talking about the miraculous 12 people that were cured of colorectal cancer. And we specifically mentioned this thing called PD-1, the protein PD-1. So you talk specifically about this. You say, the monoclonal antibody covered in today's 613 Strange News episode is PD-1 blockade. PD-1 is a protein on a T cell, one of these ground troops. When it connects to PD-L1, which is a protein displayed on some human cells, it tells the T cell not to attack. If a tumor cell can make this protein, then any T cell that tries to come and attack it will instead be told to stand down. It's like knowing the security code or the secret handshake.
Oh, yeah. It's cool. Somebody's got your back and they run in and they say, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just going to continue with Jasper really quick, guys. We're almost done here. Jasper says the antibody treatment blocks that interaction, that specific interaction that we just mentioned. Most healthy cells will have a number of other immune checkpoints that prevent the immune system from attacking them, but it's looking like this specific type of rectal cancer doesn't have enough to keep itself disguised. Once it can't maintain the disguise, the immune system recognizes the tumor's rebel forces and goes on the offensive. Because the B cells didn't produce these antibodies, the immune system won't remember how to make these antibodies in the future. They are constantly making random antibody shapes and keep notes of which ones work so they can keep the instructions. God, that's crazy to me. Because they don't have the original notes on how to make the PD-1 antibody, they can't make more, which is probably good. We don't want to permanently hobble all our other cells' white flag functions. That's interesting. White flag functions, as in like, this one's good. Don't worry about this one. Thank you, Jasper, for that. You end on this note. Fun cell name. One type of cell that's important in controlling tumors is the natural killer cell. And then you end by saying all the best, Jasper. So thank you so much for writing in, telling us that. I hope I said your words correctly in your sentence structures, because they are really well put together and it's easy to understand on the page. I hope that came across for everybody else. Anybody out there listening that has this kind of detailed explanation for something that's very, very difficult to understand for a layperson, we highly recommend you send it our way, because we want to hear it.
Always love it. We love to share these too. You know, I'm thinking of all the doctors and the pilots who have written to us, people in very specific areas of national defense or academia. This is one of the reasons we do the show, is to be able to learn more ourselves. So thank you so much. And everyone, keep the letters coming regarding the ongoing cancer research. We would love to hear from you.
Absolutely. So with that, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back with more messages from you.
And we're back with another message from you, the conspiracy realists of the world. This one comes from a very special recurring conspiracy realist that goes by the name, the incredibly delightful, aka Tall Pockets. I'm just going to read this whole email because it's a fascinating story, fascinating scenario, and I think that we can just discuss. Hey guys, call me Tall Pockets, and let me begin by saying I'm pretty sure my search history got flagged for looking into this one. We were having a lovely dinner with my boyfriend's parents, and his mom was telling us about work that week. Work for her is portrait photography, and she told us about some professional headshots she had just done that really stood out to her. Why? She said the man she was photographing started assembling his invention to be in the photos with him. He told her he had designed it, and the government had bought the designs. Isn't that top secret, she asked. Not anymore, he responded. She started describing to us what it looked like and what she thought it was, saying she was told it was for surveillance. Is it a bomb? She asked the man. No, it's definitely not a bomb. Except it probably is. The device is called Hatchet. And yes, when I Googled just that, I was flooded with links to buy the classic Gary Paulson novel. A search of Hatchet, along with the gentleman's name, produced listings to previous artillery and munitions conferences / sales he had brought his wares to. And there's a link to that. And when searching Hatchet drone, ooh, buddy. Also, it needs to be noted that upon Googling these and showing pictures to my boyfriend's mom, she confirmed they were the same. From what I found, this invention is a UAS with a payload potential equivalent to about a 500-pound bomb, and it's barely 600 pounds itself. It's being marketed as an affordable bomb for all your lightweight, heavy-hit bombing needs. But, it's definitely not a bomb. Picture this man sitting down, grinning from ear to ear, casually holding his definitely not a bomb. I'm attaching some links below, one of which contains the gentleman's information, as well as the other not bombs that he's designed. What a wild Monday night.
That's great. Yeah, it's frightening too. Yeah. I was looking at this as well.
Can you imagine going to, I don't know what they have in other parts of the country, but I think of like Olin Mills was like a family photography company in my hometown where I grew up. glamour shots kind of deal. This is just like, you think you'd get those headshots done by someone like internal or like, a friend, not like literally bring this potentially lethal device to like a commercial photo studio.
First off, yes, thank you, Tall Pockets. Tall Pockets is actually a pretty good internet friend of mine. Thank you so much for giving us this story. And to answer your question, Noel, here's how I think it works. If I remember correctly, if a given technology is taken, right? If it's taken like under the National Invention and Security Act, I can't remember the name of that thing, but if an invention is stolen by Uncle Sam, then they'll use in-house photographers. If it's made in-house, then the branch of the military associated with it may use their own internal like AV production team. That's where you see the propaganda videos of like, hey, here's the B-2 bomber, and here's the new, all countries do this. Like, here's our new SAM anti-air system or whatever. But I think what may have happened here is that because the inventor is a private citizen who's doing this commercially, it was kind of on them to get the good shots, I guess. So they were saving money. And plus, yeah, I miss glamour shots. I wish there were more of those out. They had a brief resurgence, but where they got the airbrush, like profile face of someone looking up, making America face.
I love ones like classic ones from like the 80s and 90s with like laser backgrounds and things like that. Or like, yeah, it was good stuff.
We should get those for our show. Matt, are you in?
Completely agree. But I mean, the links that Tall Pocket, the links that Tall Pocket sent certainly seem legit. We're obviously not going to name this gentleman who so boldly brought his not bomb into a commercial photo studio. But like, could he get in trouble for this? Like, this seems like a really boneheaded move. But also, information about the device is out there. It's someone invented it or designed it from the public sector, and then it's being purchased by the military. It's not like it was developed under, lock and key for the military.
I would just say the way it's being described here by Tall Pockets, and the person who, took the pictures and, saw it happen, at least the way it was being described to her, a UAS, right? An unmanned aircraft system. If this Hatchet is a part of a weapon system, but is not necessarily the explodey bit, right? The actual munition or the bomb part, then he definitely didn't bring a bomb in, or, whatever, into that photo shoot. He brought
the payload, right? It could just be the shell without the explodey bits. I like that.
Or just the guidance part, because some of these things that can be described in that way, that at least with the links that we were sent, it could just be the guidance system, right?
Right, because the whole deal would be quite massive, right? I mean, they're small compared to like, full-sized aircraft, but they're not like something you could just carry around. Well, it said 6 pounds though, but in the video that they sent, which you can see for yourself, just literally go to it's on Northrop Grumman's YouTube channel, which they have one, and just type in Hatchet miniature strike munition. But the way they're portraying it in the video, which is animated CGI style, I mean, they look pretty big.
Yeah, and it's I mean, you're right about the relative sense of the word small here, right? Or miniature. It is important to note a lot of these things are an agglomeration of discrete inventions and components. So if you check out, if you just check out Hatchet drone in general, aside from those munitions that you carry, you can see the drone itself, the UAV itself, and it's still like, it's smaller than an airplane, sure, but it's still pretty big. It's serious business. This
it's not 6 pounds. What is this 6 pounds business that Tall Pockets is describing?
That would be the the Hatchet is technically speaking a precision glide bomb. So it's like imagine, how some paper airplanes suck and you just try to get them to go forward. This is one of the specialty ones that can actually go where you want it to go. Shout out to everybody who's thinking of that awesome meme of that engineer who just built like a boomerang paper airplane. Obviously, you don't want to launch an explosive boomerang from your drone because that trick only works once when it comes back. But this stuff from Northrop Grumman is part of a larger idea to create systems that can let the U.S. Air Force carry hundreds of these weapons on a single mission. So it's packing a lot of firepower, and we know without compromising this guy's identity, though you can find it if you're curious and intrepid enough. We know that he works for a private entity that's part of the national defense industry, right? So he knows the laws, surely, even though it might seem cavalier to us. It's probably because he's done this a lot. It's not his first rodeo, wouldn't you think? That's why he's like, oh, yeah, no, we're fine. Just here, take the picture.
I've never really thought of like, bomb scientists needing headshots either. But I guess, for all those chat shows and Charlie Rose and all that. I mean, it's just, he seems like a real punchy character, I guess is what I'm getting at. Bet he's a hoot at parties.
Oh, yeah. I bet he's got some fun drawing board stories. Engineers and inventors always do. But this also makes you wonder what else is out there, right? Because now there is a lot of classified research, and it has to be classified, but then there's also a lot of stuff that you just have to dig to find. You know what I mean? And most people don't know about it because why would you search for it unless you were a person of very particular concerns? Also, RIP to your search history, Tall Pockets.
Yeah,
welcome.
Exactly. I think you're probably fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, just an interesting story, and definitely a breed of drone that I wasn't personally familiar with. So, but I don't know. Do you guys have anything else to add?
I would just say precision guidance weapons are terrifying. And looking through this thing is, especially smart weapons that can identify targets while in flight.
But what is a target? How do you differentiate between, say, an insurgent and an insurgency group and people at a wedding? That's something remote vehicles got wrong before.
I just want to read you guys what this says under types of precision munitions. This is a presentation of sorts that is available online for a weapons manufacturer, right? Some kind of, hey, look, this is what we can do.
It's what you get at a convention booth, actually.
That's it.
I will add really quickly, Matt, if I may, the subtitle for the presentation is Affordable Precision for Future Artillery.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to read you the tiny little text box under Precision Smart Munitions, because it's describing non-precision munitions, precision, and precision guided. So Precision Smart Munitions say, the munition or submunition autonomously searches, detects, classifies, selects, and engages targets. And then what it says after that, Ben, is has a limited target discrimination capability.
Which is like fire resistant or water resistant. Not fireproof, not waterproof. Also, this technology, while objectively amazing, is a little bit too judge-dready for a lot of people, a little bit too judge, jury, and executioner in one nifty package.
I will say, too, it's kind of surreal seeing all this stuff laid out in a PowerPoint presentation with like nifty infographics and stuff literally describing, like, check out this thing that we can sell you for murdering humans.
Also, this is from 2008.
Yeah.
Important note.
Well, at least the smart munitions have likely gotten somewhat smarter. But then, hey, remember that other conversation we did about the sentient chatbot?
Lambda.
Yeah. Let's fuse those two ideas. Let's get the Lambda brain into the smart munitions, and that's when you get a Skynet type situation on your hands.
You have to understand, they were attempting to turn me off.
Arm the XM982 Excalibur 1As.
Machine consciousness is, they love to be turned on. Sexy.
They don't much like having their plugs pulled. On that note,
keep those plugs in.
As it may be. Yeah, exactly. Let's unplug for a second here. Take a quick word from our sponsor, and then we'll be back with one more piece of listener mail.
And we have returned. Wanted to put some proof in the pudding. When we talk about how cool the Facebook page is, here's where it gets crazy. We talk about all the fantastic connections we've made with our fellow listeners on the intertubes. We're not just blowing smoke. We learn a lot of really cool stuff. I want to thank multiple people today. And here's where it gets crazy. I want to thank Justin R. and Joe B. for hipping us to a really cool story. And I also want to thank everybody who wrote to me over at Ben Bolin on Instagram or at Ben Bolin HSW on Twitter to hip me to this story. It's awesome. I never think, I wish people would stop sending me this. This is the kind of story I want to just read and reread and ignore all the caveats on, because this is about a superpower that I very much want. When you guys were kids, I know we're all fellow nerds here. Did you ever fantasize about having certain superpowers? And if so, which ones?
This old chestnut.
Okay,
Teleport,
you wanted
man.
to teleport, Noel, and Matt, you wanted a chestnut.
Yes, a single chestnut to be able to create one
Turn
just
into a
whenever I
chestnut,
wanted.
perhaps. So that perhaps someone could roast you on an open fire during the holiday season.
Oh, if only.
And I think that works if you're also somehow a criminal mastermind, you know, and they're like, police are at a loss to stop the crime wave. Once again, orchestrated by the chestnut.
He was here. I just saw him. There's nothing here, sir, but this chestnut. What's that word? What's that word? Non-pertinent.
Right. So I think a lot of, and you're right, Matt, it is an old chestnut, because that's a question I used to ask people often, was if you could choose 3 superpowers, which ones would you choose? And it had to be 3 because a surprising amount of people just instantly say flying, and they don't think about the mechanics of it. Anyway, point being, telekinesis is something that people have. It's like on the edge of the old ESP psychic power conversations, because people will say, okay, there might be something worth researching about alleged prescience, alleged predictive capabilities or clairvoyance, etc. But mentally moving something in the physical world is just a bridge too far for a lot of people, except some pretty determined and innovative Chinese scientists, as our crew, Justin and Joe over on Facebook pointed out. It's official. According to their paper called Remotely Mind-Controlled Metasurface Via Brainwaves, these scientists are making one of the first substantive steps toward real-time, remote, wireless control of metamaterials. Kind of like, think of it like Bluetooth telekinesis. Yeah, I know. It's a weird one. It's not like awesome Jane Grey level telekinesis, but it's something.
So like close proximity.
Kind of, yeah. If you look at the way this works, essentially, it's kind of you thinking, but it's you thinking with a bevy of technological assistance. So there's a module that extracts signals, your brain waves, and then converts them to what's called attention value. The attention information is transmitted remotely from a Bluetooth module to a thing called the Arduino. And this outputs different voltages by discriminating values. Props to everyone who's awake after hearing that, because it does sound pretty dry and academic, right? This is not like lifting up a car with your mind. This is only affecting meta materials, but it's an enormous step toward what we could call intelligent metamaterials, kind of an internet of things. Imagine a world where you can control, maybe just through your mind, you can control the pattern on your clothing in the future, right? You can do one of those cool cool things where like your shirt maybe just has emoticons based on your mood. I went away from the mic there because I stood up. I'm very proud of my Stuff to Blow Your Mind t-shirt. But like, if you were questioning something, then this could process your brain waves, altering the material such that you got a question mark on your shirt, right? And then you got a mad face. Or then, I'm trying to think of one that's not innuendo for sexual stuff. You get a happy face. Fine. Let's be wholesome. All that kind of stuff could be possible with this. And it's been a long time in the making. I want to shout out the professors Xiaobo Chu and Professor Jiefu Wang, who work at the Air Force Engineering University, as well as Professor Chong Wei Qiu from the National University of Singapore. It's kind of neat. And it's not too crazy. I guess, what's your initial reaction? A lot of strings attached, a lot of new stuff you have to work on. But would you guys sign up for this if they were like, hey, we'll give you the power to make your thoughts reflect on these certain materials?
Yeah, because it's fun. This would be fun, right? It'd be an art project. You could set it up to where you could actually create art in this way by manipulating, by having that stuff, then manipulate paint or something like that you could actually like form images. That's fun. I can't imagine this being applicable in any way besides an interesting concept, right? Because we're talking about Bluetooth, like thoughts controlling Bluetooth, controlling waves, right? Electromagnetic waves, essentially.
Yeah. Very basic level. We know that human brains make brain waves when humans are thinking. And so these researchers said, okay, what if we Pokemon style collect brain waves and then we make them the control signals for those meta surfaces, right? So that's pretty much exactly what you're describing. Also, Bluetooth, not super secure. Just going to point that out.
Yep. Anybody that's ever owned a child monitor.
System. Right.
Sorry.
That's right. We talked about that, didn't we? Like nanny cams or things like that can be hacked.
That's how that cult in the Czech Republic got busted. Shout out to the ants. So there's another thing here that I think is a door for larger discussion for us today. And you're very much part of this discussion, fellow conspiracy realist. We want to hear from you, especially if you work with metamaterials or if you know some of these scientists. So we talk about this a lot when we talk about the future of advertising. And unfortunately, many of our predictions have come to pass. So one thing that concerns me about this technology is the idea of possible consequences down the line. You know what I mean? Like how will this be monetized? How will this be commodified? And Matt, you said art, right? Fashion, those are good uses. I would say another immediate use that's probably already occurred to many people is smart battle gear, right? Like camo that can change.
I really thought you were going to go like sensual with it. Like meta suits that you can manipulate with the mind.
Let me think into something more comfortable, right?
Or never mind. Yeah.
But like what I mean, this would be probably part of a group of services that would be offered to people if they got like a Neuralink implant or if they got any number of other products that might come out, whatever the future version of the iPhone is, right? That's now just inside you. And if you pay a monthly fee, then you can also change these kinds of things. So I'm a little worried about the future there, but I'm also really concerned about this, and I would love you all's opinion. Do you think this will ever lead to something like actual telekinesis? I'm holding out. I want to believe, Mulder style.
Yeah, same. But I'm also interested in all of the slippery slope type questions that you're positing there, Ben.
I'm just trying to, like, what do you change?
Like a real Pandora's box kind of situation.
Yeah. But what do you change in this current setup to allow real telekinesis? Like, for me, I'm just trying to, like, it's the end, right? Like, the function of getting the brain waves to go over Bluetooth to another thing. Like, how do you get those to manipulate something larger? I guess is the big question for me.
Yeah, it's strange too, because it's been, our starting point has been kind of reported through some arguably clickbait headlines, right? One of the first sources I read about this was SciTech Daily, and that report, and they did a great job with that report, but there are, again, a lot of caveats, and those caveats are so challenging, but they may mean the human species never actually does get telepathy, because it's oversimplifying to say we're moving things with the power of our minds. Instead, it's more accurate to say these scientists are using a device that detects brainwaves, then uses radio to transmit that signal to another device that gets the radio signal, and then decodes that or translates it into some sort of specific action. So it's boring a little bit, right? Maybe a little bit of a deflation, right? When you talk about how it actually works. But if you could make something that is all in one kit that allows you to project force, I have no idea how it would work, but man, I hope it becomes a thing. I need a win. I think society needs a win. Telekinesis could be our win. That's my pitch.
As long as my dog can wear it, we'll be good, because we'll finally be able to translate their thoughts into words, I hope.
Yes. Oh, that's another technology. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's sort of like that dolphin from Sequest. Remember? We talked about that on a recent episode, Sequest DSV. There was a dolphin in a tank that could talk through some kind of like device that made it sound like a text-to-speech program.
There's also a lot of debate right now in very similar research to what you guys are describing. I'm sure you've seen the videos, some of which went viral, about these pads, these touch pads made for dogs or cats. And when the dog hits a certain pad, it'll say walk or treat or, I don't know, outside or bathroom. You know what I mean? And the debate is over whether the dogs understand what they are doing and are doing it on purpose, or whether they are just reacting to what their owners have unconsciously signaled them to do. Kind of like Clever Hans, which was the horse that was apparently a genius, and his owner thought he was a genius too, but the horse was just like really good at reading the guy's body language. Anyhow, I really want us all to have telekinesis. And Noel, there were some other studies that were pretty interesting regarding theoretical, very small scale teleportation. But we're not going to give up, folks. We're going to hold on to them. Let us know what your 3 superpowers would be. Let us know if you think this kind of research is worthwhile, and let us know where it would realistically lead in the future. We can't wait to hear from you. Thanks to Justin, Joe. Thanks to Tall Pockets. Thanks, of course, to Jasper for those excellent analogies. If you want to be part of the conversation, there are many ways to find us. Why not start online?
You certainly could, and that would be a great place to start. Why not head over to Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, where we exist under the handle Conspiracy Stuff. On Instagram, you'll find us at Conspiracy Stuff Show.
Or head on over to stuffyoushouldreadbooks.com and pre-order our book called Stuff They Don't Want You to Know. Wow, that title. I really wanted this book as a weapon, Ben. That's okay.
That'll be the next book.
Okay.
Still a weapon, though.
That's
you
right.
Bludgeon the crap out of somebody with it. It's a heavy tome.
It's heavy, both physically and what? Metaphorically?
Yeah, but it's also lighthearted. It's a lot of things. It's an easy read. It's a fun read. It's like a good coffee table book. It's got beautiful illustrations from our friend Nick Admiral Turbo Benson. And you should definitely get one for yourself and like one for like literally all of your loved ones.
And if you don't like the book, get it for people you don't like. You know what I mean? Yeah, but to Noel's point, we get into some heavy stuff, and then, you know, you turn a page and we're like, hang on, we have to explain the Kevin Bacon game.
Yeah, I only meant heavy as in, y'all, we're talking government conspiracies, the real stuff. That's what the book is about. Whoa. Hey, and if you're not into reading, we get it. You can still get it as a gift, for real. Why not instead give us a call? Our number is 1-833-STDWYTK. When you call in, give yourself a cool nickname. We don't care what it is, but we're excited to hear it. Let us know if we can use your voice and message on the air in one of these episodes. And then you've got 3 minutes. Just say whatever you want. Anything can be anything. Be entertaining, be profound, be silly. We just want to hear it. But if you've got more to say than can fit into a 3-minute voicemail message, why not instead send us a good old-fashioned email? We read everything we get that's sent to
conspiracy@iHeartRadio.com.
Stuff They Don't Want You to Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.